What is up, everyone? Happy New Year. Let's get this started. So we are just figuring this out. Well, this is new to me, but I do have my ADV 360 helping me out in the background. Tall Man Moto, of course, as well. He's hanging out in the background. Since he uses this system, I'm using them for our moral support on this. So thank you, everyone, for signing up and joining us here. All right, still getting situated. Wow, I know a lot of you people in here. All right. Amanda, Paul, Small Man Moto. Woohoo. Where's Duke at? You know what? Let me text Duke and tell him he needs to jump in here since he's local. I don't think it's his bedtime yet, but I'm going to see if he wants to jump in here. All right. So Happy New Year, everyone. So yeah, we're going to talk about all things new for this year and then answer a bunch of your questions and figure out, you know, just what everybody's asking and go from there. Now, let me see. We've got 34 people in here. So probably do a couple giveaways too, just for fun. And we'll see how that goes because I've not used this giveaway tool before. So we'll play with it and see how it goes as well. All right. So first things I kind of want to talk about was the new things for 2025. So there are a lot of changes as far as PFAS goes for camping gear. And if you've noticed, a lot of these brands are changing all of their gear lineups, renaming a bunch of stuff. So heads up, unfortunately, Big Agnes has dropped the Diamond Park series of sleeping bags. I don't know why. Obviously, assuming there's something to do with the PFAS there, but that is actually one of the favorite sleeping bags that you all enjoy using. And it's one of the most comfortable ones and easy to use. So there's some bags that we're going to look at that are maybe a replacement for that. Again, that is our number one selling bag because you all like it so much. And we're going to try it and see what we can work into it. So let's see. I'm going to switch over here. So let's go to Big Agnes's website. Because I think they've got the sleeping bags on here that I've been looking at. All right. So there it goes. Okay. Yeah, so unfortunately they got rid of the Diamond Park series of bags and trying to find, so the 3-in-1, that's another one that you can see it's marked down. They're actually going to have a new version for next year. Again, PFAS related stuff, the forever chemicals, everybody's dumping all of their product line and they're trying to get new stuff in without all these in there. So most of the stuff in our store is pretty much we've gone through and filtered through it. The only exceptions would be climb gear. Now, climb is interesting because a lot of the climb gear falls under the extreme weather. And because of its extreme weather, it has an exception. So that way you can still ship to like California and New York. Those are the two main states where a lot of these items will not be available for anymore. But let's get into the Echo Park. That's going to be updated for next year, so that's going to still stay the same. It's the synthetic version instead of the down version. So we'll see how that goes. Diamond Park's going away. And I think they have it on here. Maybe they've got a new. Oh, they do have the new for 2025. So the new 2025, they got the bigger tents. You'll see like the black tail, all that's new because again, they're new materials to be in regulations. Let's see. Echo Parks. There's the new Lost Rangers. The Lost Ranger, the 3-in-1 setup. I really like that one for people who are doing a lot of cross country because it still packs actually a pack smaller than the Diamond Park did, but you have that option with an inner and an outer bag. The only problem is going to be that inner bag is a mummy style bag, and so not everybody's going to like that, but it is very relaxed. I mean, it's big enough for me to put my elbows out. And the new one that I'm excited about for this year from Big Agnes is the Torchlight. It does come in the 0, the 20, and the 30. And this year, the Torchlight is actually a sleep system from Big Agnes. So they're going to have it where it attaches to the sleeping pad. And is expandable. So it looks like a mummy, but there's a better picture in here. But that foot box is actually really wide. It's deceiving because it looks like it's small in the pictures, but it's actually a really wide foot box. And so you've got expanding zips on the sides that'll definitely open it up. And so these are the 3-in-1. The Echo Park obviously will be a 1. That's still a favorite. But the 3-in-1 and then this Torchlight, the new version, because so many people like how it attaches to the sleeping pad. I think this one's going to be a big hit, and hopefully y'all like it. If you don't, tell me, because if it's just a bust, then we'll take it out of the store. But that was one I'm excited about. All right, so I'm catching up on comments now. Oh, Duke finally did make it in here. Sweet. Okay. There we go. A lot of items sold out of the website. So yeah, this is the end of the year where we start kind of just purging all of our inventory and getting rid of everything that we've got just to kind of start fresh. And a lot of the stuff too from our suppliers and vendors don't start coming back in stock until February and March or towards the end of this year. And so with a lot of the items that were, well, and like I was saying about the PFAS stuff, a lot of those out of stock items like the Diamond Park and some of the other ones, if you see anything on there that says discontinued, it's because it's no longer going to be available. They've taken it off the list for us to order, and it's either going to be remade for next year or it's going to be completely just gone. Like I said, the Diamond Parks are one of them. The Phillos, everybody loves the Nemo Phillo pillow. That one is not gone, but it will be renamed for next year. Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Yep. Yep, that's the 3-in-1 that I believe you're talking about. Storage. Always store your sleeping bags open. If you, most of them come with a mesh bag that you can throw them in. If you don't have the mesh bag, you can definitely just throw it in the closet out of its stuff sack, so that way it's loose, so that way it's not compressed. My motorcycle adventures, yes. So I actually have a list of all of your questions that I've collected over the past couple of days that I was asking before, and that was actually one of Amanda's questions as well. Was what kind of new gear um, that we're adding to the website this year? And so the big thing that we're going to focus on coming into the new year is one, because again, I keep saying this, but the PFAS regulations, making sure everything we have is compliant, so we don't have to worry about not being able to ship to New York or California. And then also, if you've noticed, we do have climb riding gear on the website. And so I want to branch out. We've been doing this since 2020. And so I feel like we've got a decent grasp on the camping gear. And I want to be able to start adding in riding gear because it kind of goes hand in hand, to be more of that one-stop shop for everybody to be able to come to. You can grab your gear, camping gear, your riding gear, your luggage. We're sticking mainly to the universal kind of luggage systems or things that are easily used between multiple bikes. And so it just makes it easier for inventory because we're still a really small store. So trying to keep inventory costs as low as possible for now. Yep, there you go. Amanda, Matt, yep. You can hang it up in the closet. You know, keeping it so it's just, prevented it from, you know, the sleeping bag, preventing it from getting compressed too much. By the way, if y'all are not subscribed to Amanda as the Magpie Flies, please go and watch her videos and subscribe because one, she's a great person. Two, she's our ambassador. And three, all of her videos are completely awesome. Tons of information just across the board from anything from, if you're cross country trips or if you're doing a lot of cooking at camp, she's got her cookbook out. We are sold out of those. Sorry, Amanda. We sold them all out. We have to figure out a new order, I guess. So yeah, go check her out. Make sure you're subscribed to her. Uh, Polyfloral something something. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, I don't even want to try to attempt to say that, but yeah, the bad stuff, also known as forever chemicals. So talking about, keeping your stuff sack stored or your sleeping bag stored in the stuff sack, we actually get them shipped to the store in the compression bag, and it is a synthetic sleeping bag. Uh, that means it's also plastic. So then over time, it's still going to break down and probably should be stored outside of the bag just to prevent any kind of, sped up deterioration. But they ship them to the store to us in the stuff sack. So I guess it's not completely terrible for it if they're shipping them like that. But I would, of course, make sure you take it out just because that's just the way I've done things. Six tenths. I'm kind of curious on which ones you went with, just for conversation's sake. if they're like low grade to mid grade, or if they're all just cheap tents. Let me know. Do I have any cool trips planned for 2025? I have yet to make my rally calendar for 2025. As most of you know, I'm still working my other full time job on second shift. So I've got to work with what vacation time I have available to do the rallies and then do camping trips and um, and hang out with my buddy Duke and maybe go do the Smoky Mountain 500. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see. Right now, I will say our rally calendar consists of March Moto Madness in Tellico Plains, the BMW MOA rally, because that one's going to be in Tennessee this year, so that one's really close to us. That one we usually do really good at, and there's just a lot of people there. And then Whalen Wayne weekend in Ohio. Those are our three, the ones that we've planned for and we typically go to every year. There's a couple others I'm looking at, but I haven't sealed the deal on those yet. I'm not sure which ones we're going to go to. The Palmetto Rally is another one. Again, that just kind of depends on how much vacation I've got, because when we go to the bigger rallies like the MOA, it does take up a lot of vacation time. I usually spend a whole week of vacation off my other job to be able to go and just pretty much have the week to prepare and do everything we got to do for that one. I would love to go to Montana and hang out with Amanda and y'all at Rocky Mountain Roll. Unfortunately, again, my vacation time dictates everything. So we will see how this year goes. Last year, sales kind of dropped towards the end of the year, so didn't get the best forecasted year I had planned for, but we still did grow year over year. So we're still trending in a good direction where we're still continuing to grow the business. So hopefully that leads to being able to be in a better spot for next year, either later in the year or potentially the following year. Man, you guys are killing us with the questions. Woo. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Okay. So, 3-person tent with short poles. Are bike packing tents the only option, or are there other brands that sell short poles? So, short being the bike pack tents have the 12-inch pole segments. So, if there's any other tents that you want, well, I should say that bike pack tents are the ones I know that have the 12-inch pole segments, and there's not any other on the market that are 3-person that are labeled as short or small packing. We've kind of gone through and found some of the brands. Like, I'm trying to think of any of the 3-person tents, because most of the 3-person tents get into like a 16-inch pole segment. That's not the bike pack version. And mainly that's because a lot of them are polyester instead of nylon. And so if you look at, which one was it? It was the Blacktail Hotel bike pack tent for Big Agnes. That was a polyester tent, and it packed pretty big. I mean, it was about 8 inches around, and it had 12-inch pole segments. Man, I'm trying to think of what else is out there 3-person tent wise that's not a bike pack tent. I know that the Kelty Far Out comes in a 2-person and a 3-person, but that 3-person is still, I want to say it's 18-inch pole segments on that. So if anybody knows, let me know, because the only ones I know that are the true short 12-inch pole segments would be a bike pack tent. And like I said, the Kelty is 18 inches, which is shorter than like your standard backpacking tent, because a lot of those backpacking tents have a 22-inch. It's like 19 to 22 or 30-inch pole segment. All right. That would probably be, so I kind of talked about climb gear and bringing in some more riding gear to the store. So climb is definitely the riding gear, the helmets, getting those in the store. Right now you can see them on their website. We do drop ship those directly from Climb, and we've got it set up and synced to their inventory so we don't accidentally oversell. Kriega is another brand that we just recently brought in towards the end of 2024. And with those, we're working with Helmet House because they are the US distributor for Kriega. So with Helmet House, we're getting all that supplied in. I think we'll have the option to be able to drop ship with them as well. So that'll help us kind of control our inventory a little bit better. But then they also have all the helmets and Alpine Stars. So I'm considering those just because we have access to it. I'm trying to think of anything new. Besides that, those are the main focus going into 2025 is going to be getting our gear sorted out. Not really any new gear necessarily, but I should say not any new camping gear. I think we may bring in some of the Sea to Summit detour stuff just because Amanda really likes the stainless steel items, and we didn't carry them originally just because they were kind of heavy and we were afraid that they weren't going to sell very well. But we are going to bring some of those in just to try it and see how it sells and see how everybody likes it. All right, let's go. I've not seen Dork in the Road in here. I don't know if he is busy or not today. You know, I've thought about doing maybe just a MotoCamp Nerd camp out in the spring in Uwari. I'll have to get with Duke on that one. I like leaning on Duke because he's just good at helping me prepare. All right. The best selling item on the website. It is actually, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. I'm going to show you because it is the least suspected item. This by quantity, the little mount kit we came up with for the Garmin Zumo XT2, which is essentially because Garmin does not sell both the mount and the wiring harness together. It is just the wiring harness and the mount individually, and we have to bundle it together. Well, Garmin won't do it, so we did it. And for some reason, it has exploded, and we have sold more of these last year than any other item in our website. Now, next would be the Diamond Park series of bags, sleeping bags. We sold a lot of those. And the Boundary Deluxe. Oh, I did forget to talk about that. Can I make this? There we go. That's better. Okay. The beloved Boundary Deluxe has been discontinued for 2025, but it will be renamed the Camp Meister. And that, let me see if it's on here. Yeah, there it is. So here it is. The Camp Meister Deluxe. It has been renamed from the Boundary Deluxe to the Camp Meister Deluxe. Same price points. It'll be available in the same sizes, the 25 and the 30-inch wide, which a lot of people, enjoy that. And if you're looking for the most comfortable, just, for me, it's the most comfortable. It's my go-to sleeping pad, just because the top layer has a stretch top fabric on it. And so it kind of gives it a little bit of a bounce compared to some of the other ones. And this year, when it comes out, I believe it's going to have a higher R value. Yes, it is going to have an R value of 7 now. So we saw these back in June. In June, we go to a retailer show down in Greenville, and we meet with a lot of the reps and talk about all the gear for next year and what we're going to buy, because we have to pre-order everything a year ahead of time. And so we met with them. We saw a demo of this one, but I'm not sure what kind of fill it has in it. I think it was just a demo version. It wasn't completed with all the insulation. So we'll see. Pack size won't change. Pack size is still going to be the same. Sorry, let me get back over here to the specs. So pack size for a 30 by 78, 6.5 and 11, 6.5 by 11, which is the same size as the old one. But that would be, as far as camping gear goes, that would probably be the best selling item on the website. Was the Garmin stuff, and then the sleeping pads. We sell those sleeping pads like crazy. Now, I am excited for this year because they've renamed that one the Camp Meister. I've been disappointed in Thermarest the past few years. Everybody wanted us to get Thermarest. We got Thermarest, and they are not great. Every single Thermarest pad we have in the store, it crinkles a lot more than all the other brands. And I'm not talking about the self-inflating pads, but the regular air pads. They're really crinkly, they're really loud, and I was not impressed. And we actually didn't sell a lot of them. We sold some because there are people who are, Cascade Designs, which is MSR, Thermarest, and Platypus, and some other brands. They are the Thermarest used to be like the top as far as sleeping pads went, and they've just kind of slowly fell down over the years. But this year, I get to my point. This year, they came out with a new sleeping pad, and it is even more stretchy and more bouncy than the Boundary Deluxe is, or what the Camp Meister is going to be. I'm really excited about that because I put my hand on it at the demo, at the retailer demo, and my hand just kind of sunk into it. And so I'm hoping this year it's going to be a really nice pad, because I actually want to see Thermarest do better than they have, and maybe that'll bring them back up out of whatever funk they were in. Super excited about that one. Unfortunately, well, I think RAI already has it. I think they struck a deal where they can sell it before any other small stores can, but I don't know. But we should be getting all of that gear, should be coming in late February, early March. Okay, sorry, I've been talking too much. I'm trying to catch up here. Sorry, guys. I'm just kind of going through. Thank you for flagging these, by the way, because I did not know you could do that. So this makes it easier. Like I said, I've got my ADV 360 in the background helping me with this, and he's doing a great job because I have no idea what I'm doing on this. I do want to mention too, because actually that was a question I had in the email the other day. Somebody was asking about getting tents with short poles or getting them custom made. One of the websites I've seen, I've not bought anything from them. I just perused was Quest Outfitters. They sell Easton tent poles and shot cord and then like all the accessories. So you could technically build out, if you get a tent that you really like, you could build out your tent pole sections to the size you needed without having to buy a tent specifically small. Um, Another one would be, oh, I can't remember the name of it. If you search it on Google search for like short tent poles or tent pole makers or whatever, it'll come up. But there's another company that uses Easton poles, and you can actually send them your pole set or give them the tent and the dimensions and stuff, and they can make new poles and cut them to the segments that you need for your size. For those of you who don't know, Duke, aka Mayo Moto, because Duke mayonnaise, he is officially our unofficial chair tester. Met him a few years ago, and he came into the store and then started stalking us at all the events and rallies we went to, and so he's just become part of the family. And he actually does an awesome job helping us out of the store and at rallies and giving really good feedback and field testing a lot of gear for us. And so he's got some Kriega gear, and one of my other friends had Kriega gear that kind of got me leaning towards Kriega. I really like their setup. To your point, there's a lot of people that have had the aluminum pans and pots and their side bags, and when they lay the bike down or wreck it or whatever else, it tacos it or bends it. So um, if you've laid the bike down with the pan in the side that's stainless steel and didn't bend it, let me know. So from my understanding, Chris Crittermoto, um, we have to have a physical location in Canada to be able to get these products into Canada. I'm by far a logistics expert, but from what I've looked at and what I've found, that is the only way we'd be able to have like a branch in North America and then, or I should say the US and then Canada. That would be the only way we'd be able to buy and then sell products, is having a physical store or warehouse in Canada to be able to just ship out of. Yeah, we'll just set up a physical location right there and on Vancouver Island, right? Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, let's see. I'm still catching up on comments. I don't know. You know, you asked me, Amanda, you've asked a bunch of questions and I have them saved. Um, and I thought about some of them and I'm not really sure. What is the one item in the store that's your favorite, but you think doesn't get attention you think it deserves? I would honestly say probably some of the Sea to Summit sleeping bags. They are underrated, and Sea to Summit doesn't do a really good job of marketing them, but they are really high quality. really small pack size, really good materials, and really comfortable. I used the Ascent and the Ember quilt. Nope, just the Ascent. I haven't used the Ember down quilt yet. And I really, really liked it because it's not a traditional mummy style bag. It is a relaxed mummy bag, but it does have a really high price point. And so I think it's because it's the price point to the value, and some people don't see that. Yep, we'll put up a store right up there. Ah, so as long as you bought the sleeping pad from a authorized dealer like us or REI or wherever you bought it, lifetime warranty on sleeping pads for manufacturer defects. Now, Big Agnes is really good with their sleeping pads, and pretty much anybody who's had a leak on it, they email them, they provide their details on how they purchased it, and they've either just, sent them a new one, or they've got different ways of taking care of it. So, but everybody I've ever talked to said they were happy with the way Big Agnes handled it and resolved it. It does suck to have a leak while you're sleeping, but they do take care of it, and you don't have to worry about it. And that goes for all of their products. Big Agnes, Nemo, Sea to Summit, and Kelty all have a manufacturer, limited lifetime warranty for manufacturer defects, and all of them do really well at standing behind their products. And that's one of the reasons we stock those items, just because of the aftermarket support. Because want to make sure you guys are getting taken care of. Yeah. So, what pad do you have? Because I don't know if you've told me. Um, One Old Man Riding. I don't know which one you have, but I'm curious because if it's one of like the ultralight pads that crinkles, or what if it's one of the other ones that doesn't. That's not really an ultralight pad, but still crinkles. Let me know. Okay, well there you go. Stainless steel plus bike dumps. Dump the bike with stainless steel in the saddlebags, and they withstood it. So yeah, if you don't mind the extra weight, I guess stainless steel would be the way to go if you pack it on the sides. Um, I guess it depends on how you pack your bag, because I don't put my kitchen setup on the side. I put it on like the top bag or the trunk for the bike. So that wouldn't affect me. So, Brandon, unfortunately, the Diamond Park sleeping bag has been discontinued and will not be available any longer. Now, the Diamond Park sleeping bag was very popular because it was a very large, relaxed sleeping bag. It had zips on both sides, and it attached to the sleeping pad, which pretty much makes it where you can't roll off the pad. You're staying in the center. And then for normal people who like to sleep not in a mummy bag, it was just really comfortable. Now, your other option would be the Echo Park, which is getting continued over to next year. But it is the synthetic version, so it's going to pack a little bit bigger, and it's going to be a little bit heavier. And hey, look, Dork on the Road's here. Cool. Uh, and so the other options would be the 3-in-1 if you want to stick with the Big Agnes. Um, read your question again. Make sure I'm getting you leading you the right way. Great bag from Dorking the Road. What are my thoughts? New to moto camping. Okay. My question for you, Brandon, too, would be: are you new to camping in general, or just new to motorcycle camping? And is pack size or comfort your priority? Because the Diamond Park is like the mother of comfort. It is the ultimate, comfortable sleep system. They don't make it anymore. So then you have to get something, like I said, the 3-in-1 is nice because if you're going from a lot of, how to say it, a lot of climate changes. So if you're doing a cross country trip, or if you just want kind of a one bag, do it all situation, you have a side sleeper mummy style bag that goes inside of a quilt like bag that attaches to the pad. And those get down to 0 and 15 degree, just depending on which one you buy, ratings. The 15-degree comfort is 25. The 0-degree comfort is like 10 or 15-ish. My general rule of thumb is whatever you see anybody advertise, just add 10 degrees to that. So that way you know what the real comfort rating is. The downfall on the 3-in-1 is it does have a mummy style inner sleeping bag. But the pro to that is it packs smaller than the Diamond Park. And then when you get to warmer climates or warmer temperatures, you don't have to use the inner bag. You can toss that to the side or not even pack it and take it with you. And you can just use the outer sleeping bag, the outer layer, and it's rated at like 40 or 50 degrees. So it makes like a great summer bag that packs tiny. And then with the other one layered up together, you're building a layering system that gets you into the colder weather. The other option would be from Big Agnes would be the new Torchlight. It's one again that attaches to the sleeping pad, and it's got zips on the sides. It doesn't have 2 zips, so you can't take off the whole top like the Echo Park or Diamond Park. But it has 1 zip on one side and then zips on the side for expansion. So you can actually unzip it in different areas. So you can unzip it at the top if you're broad shouldered, or if you want to unzip it just at the bottom to make it wider for your feet, you can. You can just kind of unzip it in a little bit in the middle to get this weird kind of like spoon shape to it. But that way it expands where you need it. And the good thing about that is you don't have a really big relaxed bag that you're losing, not losing, that you've got cold spots to warm up. So that way it's a little bit more efficient than the big relaxed bags, but not as tight and restricting as like a mummy bag. Wow, we got 50 people in here. Oh, that's because Tall Man Moto came back. Maybe we shouldn't count him. Okay. Sorry, I'm still catching up on comments. Uh, I do get this a lot. Yes, Dork Ben and Nerd Ben are 2 completely different people. But a lot of people do get us confused because we both have beards and glasses and, well, not anymore because he has fancy new eyes. But we both have a 300 rally. Let me know. Does anybody? I don't. I actually, if you've noticed from pictures to now, I've actually shaved my beard down because I got tired of dealing with it. Because it is a lot of upkeep, and plus it was getting in the way of my helmet strap, and I was getting it tangled up, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. But yeah, for me, I personally have to keep it oiled and put product in it just to make it where I don't break out or have any issues underneath. Um, and so for me on long trips, and usually I don't do anything because I don't feel like packing it and I get lazy. And I'd say long trips, but in the past, I'd say weekends, like 4 or 5 day weekend trips. I usually don't do anything. I just wash it. I have taken beard oil just because it's small, just to kind of help put it in there, but that's about the most amount of care I've done for it. Ah, yeah. So the Sea to Summit Ether Light, yeah, it's actually really comfortable. I put it on the same level as far as sleeping pads go with the Boundary Deluxe and the Rapide, because it has that quilted pattern, so it's really comfortable. My problem with the Ether Light was a little bit of crinkle, but also with the right material underneath of it, it gets really squeaky. And so when you roll around at night, that material for some reason it's a little bit different, and it squeaks against the bottom of like the tent floor pad and other materials. Ah, yes, thank you. Yeah, so my general rule of thumb for people who are looking at the sleeping bag ratings, if you see, it says 15, I say add 10 degrees to that to get the true comfort rating. And that is with you wearing your base layers and having a good sleeping pad. So if it's 15 degrees, comfort is going to be 25. And as Amanda has said, add another 20 degrees to that, or even 30 if you are a cold sleeper. Funny enough, that I have figured out, I get really hot really easy to a point, because we were at Chilly Willy weekend and it was 15 the first night, and I did have a decent 20 degree. It was a double sleeping bag, and I wasn't on a insulated sleeping pad because I was in the van, but we had a memory foam mattress. So 20 degree sleeping bag, which comfort rating is going to be 30. We were in 15. I had on my base layer merino wool, socks. I had on my Camp Boss pants from Big Agnes and my puffy jacket and a beanie and a neck gaiter, and I was still cold. So I fully layered up. But I do think for myself that I figured out, once I get below like 30, in between 30 and 40 degrees, somewhere in there, there's a point where I get colder faster. And so whenever I get to those really cold areas, keeping in mind that I need to layer up a little bit more than I would during the summertime, if it's 50 or 60 out, I can pretty much go base layerless, no base layers at all, to stay acclimated to the right temperature. Yeah, by the way, if you've not seen the picture of me and Duke, I don't know if this is going to work. Let me see if I can pull it up to show everybody, because I don't have it on the computer right now. But Duke is my doppelganger. Nope, I don't have it on here. But Duke is my doppelganger. We wear the same hat. We look very similar, except he's like 6 foot. I'm 5'5". So, oh, here we go. There it is. And for the record, I started wearing my hat around the same time in 2012. No, it was earlier than that. I started wearing my hat in like 2009. Oh, well, I can't find the picture. It's not pulling up. So you'll have to go to the Instagram and uh, What? Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Mary's peeking around the corner up here, so. Just for the record, too, the Ether Light is a Sea to Summit product, so it does have a lifetime warranty on it. So anytime if you get holes or something like that, you can send it to them and ask them to repair it and or see if they'll replace it. Doesn't hurt to ask. The Featherstone tint, that is one I've got to look into because I'm not sure if it's PFAS free, and we haven't restocked it because they were out of stock for a really long time, and we had some issues with them trying to get getting those tints back in stock. And I think if it is a case where it was a PFAS related issue, they've got to revamp their product before they can get it back and then get it back in stock. But I can check on that and see. I don't have any status right now on when that would be back in stock. But I'll look and see. We don't sell a lot. We sell a handful of the Enlightened equipment quilts, but we don't sell a lot. I like Enlightened equipment quilts. They're super small packing, and a lot of people do like them. The one hang up I have on them that I warn people about when they get into them is if they don't like a tight foot box. The Enlightened equipment quilts have a tighter foot box than some of the other quilts. And so people who aren't typical backpackers or hikers that just want to sleep like they do at home with their feet sprawled out everywhere, don't like that. And I've actually had several people come into the store to get the Enlightened equipment quilt and then go with something else because the foot box was tight and they didn't like that. And then when they get into the colder weather, they didn't like how it wrapped around them. And so when they tossed and turned, it would lift up and cause a air draft. But, that can be resolved by tightening down the straps. And like I said, if you don't mind a tighter foot box and you like being a little bit snugger, then it's still a great product. And, I encourage people to check them out because we do sell them. So I get this one a lot. This is actually one that's on the list that somebody else had asked. A net gaiter. It is the most multi-tool piece of gear that I can think of, just because you can use it as a net gaiter to keep you warm. You can use it as a scarf. You can use it as a bandana. You can use it as like a placement for your picnic table if you're eating. There's so many different uses for it. That is probably the most multi-use item that I can think of. And Dork would agree that the net gaiter is probably one of the most highly underrated pieces of equipment either. Now, the ones that we've got, the MotoCamp Nerd ones, are really thin. The Dork and the Road ones are the Blackstrap brand, and they are a lot thicker. Yeah, let's do a giveaway. Who wants a? We'll start with a. Do a MotoCamp Nerd Flask. We got 50 people in here, so we'll do a couple of them. And we've been in here for we've been here for an hour. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna have to figure this out. and see how this works. Does this work? All right. I'm going to try this. Y'all just bear with me. Sorry, Corey. I guess I could have asked you to do this just so you had something to do, but it'll be there for next time. You can just press the button, right? All right. Tell me if this works. Exclamation mark nerd to be entered to win. Tall Man Moto, you may have to help me on this one. Oh, yep, it's working. Okay. There we go. 2 entries. Woohoo. Okay, it's going now. So yeah, doing a MotoCamp Nerd Flask giveaway. Exclamation mark nerd to be entered in. I'll give you all a little bit to do that. Actually, I'm going to step away and go to the bathroom while you guys are doing this because I drank way too much tea and water. All right. That's it. We got 45 people in here and I've got 17 entries. $18. Okay, I give you guys 30 seconds to finish up doing an entry for the MotoCamp Nerd Flask. And we'll do another giveaway right behind it too, just for fun. And see, and since Dork keeps running his mouth, we're gonna give away one of his neck gaiters next. Okay. All right. Last chance. $2,005 Cat, you have won the MotoCamp Nerd Flask. Congratulations. Now, if you would, please email me. I'll put my email up here. All right. If you would, email me, cs@motocampnerd.com. Email me there with your shipping information and all that, so that way I can ship this to you. All right. Should we roll to the next one? All right. So we are going to give away a Dork in the Road net gaiter. Okay, I'm getting situated. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. Same thing. We're going to enter nerd to win a Dork in the Road net gaiter. Oops. Hold on a second. Sorry. I got to restart this. Oh, I've got to do a new one. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we're going to do Dork this time. So let me get this up here really quick. Try that. Exclamation mark dork to enter to win the Dork in the Road net gaiter. Sorry, false alarm. It's not nerd anymore. It's dork. Didn't mean to screw you all up on that one. All right. While you all are doing that, I'm going to answer some more questions. What is my recommendation for the best pillow for side sleepers? So, my favorite pillow as a side sleeper has been the Nemo Pillow. The regular Nemo Pillow camp pillow, not the elite. There is a Nemo Pillow camp pillow and a Nemo Pillow luxury, and both of those have a piece of memory foam on the top of an air bladder. And for me, perfect because I can air down that bladder a little bit if I need to, and kind of put the pillow underneath or over my arm because I put my arm underneath the pillow. Also on the luxury, it has shock cord on the backside of it. So if you're somebody who has really wide shoulders and needs a lot more lift, you can stuff a bunch of clothes in there and get more lift. to lift your head up. Even if you're a back sleeper and you just need a lot of lift, you can do that as well. But it does pack a little bit larger, probably about the size of this mug, because of the memory foam. But normally when I pack it, I just shove it in the compression bag or stuff sack with my sleeping bag, and it pretty much disappears. Like, you don't even notice there's any more material in there than your sleeping bag already takes up. So, yeah, best pillow. And it's the number one selling pillow that we have as well. All right. 23 entries for the Dork in the Road net gaiter. Hashtag, not hashtag, sorry. Exclamation mark dork. Are the Diamond Park and Echo Park bags being upgraded for 2025? I'm guessing yes, because you see discounts, waiting for the new ones, and then is compression of down worth the difference in price? I'm going to answer that as soon as we do our drawing. All right. 24 entries. Are y'all ready? Here we go. Will A, congratulations on winning the Dork in the Road net gaiter. Now, same thing. If you would please. Oh man, Core, you were on it. Yeah. Email cs@motocampnerd.com and send me your, well, I'll have your email, but then send me your shipping information and I will ship that to you. And make sure you saw it, Will. Just leave me a comment and say you got it, or you saw that you're a winner, so I don't miss you. Sweet. Congrats. Woo. All right. I'm going to answer a couple more questions and then maybe we'll do another giveaway. I got to think of something good to give away. Maybe we'll do a gift card next, but we'll go through some questions and then we'll do a MotoCamp Nerd gift card after that. So, all right. Now back to Diamond Park and Echo Park bags. So the Diamond Park is completely going away for next year. The Echo Park is going to be the only one that is available. It is the synthetic version of the Diamond Park. Is the compression of down worth the difference in price? It's not necessarily just the compression of the down, but also the insulation factors of down are way better than synthetic. Plus the compression for this level of sleeping bag. Now, I know that there's other brands out there that have really good synthetic materials, but for this point and this level, I would say that yes, the down in the sleeping bag is better than the synthetic, and for insulation properties and compression properties. And I would say the only time not to get down is if you're allergic to it. As motorcycle campers or travelers, I don't see a reason why you would not want down unless you're allergic to it. That's just my personal opinion and typically what I guide people towards. A lot of the manufacturers now have treated down, and the outer bags, the materials, I mean, it's all synthetics. So the water has to get through the bag to the down to even get it wet. And for our situations, for motorcycle camping and travel, uh, it's very unlikely, even if you're in your tent, unless you have a monsoon and completely get flooded, which will be the least of your worries of having a wet bag, is getting out of the flood area. But the down is not going to get wet to a point where you're going to have to really worry about it. And if it does, you're probably going to be easily able to ride to like a laundromat and just be able to throw it in the dryer. So we will probably get new gaiters this year. We're going to get the last ones we had were the thinner, lightweight versions, but we really like the Dork and the Road gaiters made by Blackstrap. So we'll probably get that brand in a MotoCamp Nerd version and style. Plus, they're a lot more durable. The other ones, I won't say that they're cheap, but they were cheaper and they were just really thin. And then we had a kind of a hard time getting them in stock to begin with. It was a kind of a runaround with that supplier. So we won't use that supplier again. We'll get a different one. Oh, thanks, Chris. Yeah, the Zoleo, the reason we carry the Zoleo and the Garmin is because they both use the Iridium network. And time again, the Iridium network has proven to be the most reliable, even in the US, but worldwide, it's renowned for its coverage. But even in the US, there are spots that the Iridium network has come through on either the Zoleo or Garmin and outpaced some of the other ones. So if you're thinking about getting a device, I'd look at either one because both of those, they've got options and price points for everybody, and features for everybody. Yes, my motorcycle adventures. We teamed up with our buddy Duke. Duke wanted to make an event. I wanted to make an event, and I let him kind of make the shots and call the shots, and we helped out in the background as much as we could and facilitated the property and sponsored some stuff. And then we ran ticket sales through our website, um, just to kind of make things easier. And we threw this together in like 60 days, just to see how it went. It went really well. We were hoping for 100 people. We capped the registration at 100 people. We had 100 register, and then it turned off to be like 15 degrees the first night, so we had a bunch of people bail. And I don't remember the total count, so Duke will have to remind me, or Mayo Moto. And I think the total count was 75-ish, maybe. I feel like it was more towards 80, but then we had people kind of coming in and going on Friday, Saturday, in between. But yeah, it went really well, except for the cold weather. It was definitely a chilly event. We do plan on putting on more. Duke is working on, well, I know you talked about doing like a nonprofit organization for the area, and we want to team up with him and help him with that. And possible future events will be kind of collaborated together with him in the UR Adventure Riders. A lot of folks who trailer truck their bikes to my camp and rides. Any future plans to offer bigger items for that crowd? Coleman stove that goes, that does get away from moto camping though. Yeah. So we've kind of talked about maybe venturing into a little bit of that at one point, but then I was worried because it does kind of take away from the whole website being themed towards motorcycle camping. I would say that the biggest item we do have is the what's it called? It's the Jetboil. Mary, do you remember? Do you remember what that stove is called? The Jetboil Genesis. Thank you. The Jetboil Genesis. It is kind of like the Coleman one. I guess I can just pull it up and show you all while we're here. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Oh, let me where are we at? Okay, here we go. So, this is the base camp stove. So kind of like the Coleman stoves, which we've got one of those, just the little square fold out ones. This one's smaller, and it folds together for storage. And actually, Amanda does have this stove, and she's used it a little bit. So we've got the base camp stove and then the system, which includes the pot and the pan, and it goes all together. Amanda's actually put this on the motorcycle and carried it. So she carried the other one, though, not with the pot and the pan, just the stove itself. And it does use the little 1 pound or whatever propane cylinders that you want to use with it. Now, that is an option. But that's probably about the biggest thing that I feel like I comfortably want to carry in the store to keep it to the motorcycle camping theme. That way people aren't getting overly confused, and I don't want people to get worried about something packing too large. Amanda's done it, so I feel like that's that's the threshold, and that's like the cutoff. Like, okay, Amanda can do it and carry it, so that means other people are probably going to do it and carry it and use it for their travels as well. We do actually sell that one, not a lot. We get it 1 or 2 in at a time, and we've sold a handful of them. People really do like them. The Dork in the Road gaiter, I think, is better than the MotoCamp Nerd gaiter, just because it's a way higher quality. It's actually sewn around the edges. It's got a hem around it, and the one that we have was just a really thin. You've probably seen them before in giveaways if you've been to like a rally or something where they're just tossing out those. There's no seam around the sides or on the top and the bottom. It's just kind of material that was formed and cut, and that's what we had. Which makes it great, just kind of like throwaway gaiter. If you just want to throw it on and trash it, and then if it washes out, great, and you're not upset about it getting too dirty. But it is thinner and not as nice, and the material itself is not as nice as the Dork in the Road net gaiters, because that material is just way better material. What it's made out of, that polyester and the design of it, better for moisture wicking, and on the flip side, warming you, because it kind of does both. And I've got the Dork in the Road and the Giant Loop version. And at a lot of the rallies, I'll soak it down and then just put it on, and that way it keeps me cool. Paul, are you talking about like our events? The so the rally we did have the dual sport adventure bike loop, and then we had a regular just road loop. And the driveway getting to the venue, it did have a couple of ruts in it, but it was mostly hard packed gravel and dirt. And anybody on a street bike, I feel, could get up that. depending on what your comfort level is with riding in gravel or in the grass with your bike, it wasn't too bad to get up. It wasn't like some of the driveways with really loose gravel. And so if we do have future events at that same venue in Uari, you'll have no problem. If it's the same bike that you brought up, because I believe you have an Indian, if it's that same bike that you brought up, then it would be a problem getting it up that driveway. Worst case, if you do have a problem, me or Duke or somebody will be more than happy to ride it up in there for you. Down is more comfortable because it had a larger temperature comfort range. Yep. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where you're going with that. As far as temperature ratings, down bag maybe more comfortable to 50 or 60. I guess you mean as far as like being breathable, so it'll keep you warm from a lower to a higher, from a lower temperature to a higher temperature. You will have more flexibility and breathability to be warm and cool at the same time, just depending on the temperature range without overheating. Is that what you're going for, or what you're trying to say? The best stove for high altitude, colder weather camping. Morning coffee is an important part of the day. Of course it is, because I love coffee, and coffee is very important. Which that'll bring me to another question that somebody else asked. So for high altitude, I did a little short video the other day about it. 90% of the time, it's the cold weather, and which you kind of did say, altitude, colder weather. It's the cold weather that affects the gas and the stove performance. So the two that we carry is the Jetboil. Actually, Jetboil, anything with Mo in the name. The Mighty Mo, I'm drawing a blank on the other Mo's. But anyway, any of the Jetboil stoves or kits that have Mo, M-O, in the name, that is a regulated stove. And so that means that it's going to maintain a certain pressure. So for most of the stoves that just have a regular valve, like it's what I refer to as more of a flow control valve instead of a regulated valve. And the regular stoves will just output all the pressure all at one time and burn off all the gas in the canister really quick. I think it's around 40 psi. With the regulated stoves, they can regulate that down to like 20 or 15 psi. So that way the canister pressure stays the same, but they need less pressure to optimally run, and they can run in colder temperatures. So any of those from Jetboil, and then from MSR would be the Deluxe. The Pocket Rocket Deluxe is a regulated stove. But any other brand, if you look around and you find a stove that's regulated, you can kind of look into the details, but most of those are optimized for like 40 degrees or lower in temperature. And again, it's just because it's regulated, it keeps the pressure of the canister. So that way you don't have to worry about your canister of gas being too cold or not atomizing enough or vaporizing enough inside. Which kind of leads me, I think I had another question somebody had asked about coffee and gas. One of the questions from Instagram earlier this week: camping in 40 degrees, would you recommend straight isobutane or isobutane propane mix? So butane, I don't remember off the top of my head. So I think butane's boiling point is 30 degrees. Isobutane is 11, and then propane is negative 40, something like that. Those are the numbers that stick in my head. So whenever you mix the propane with the isobutane, it will help bring that level where it pressurizes and vaporizes in the canister. So the more the better. We sell at the store, which we can't ship it, Camp fuel. It is 25% propane and 75% isobutane. And I did a couple of tests where I threw a canister in the freezer and it was like 0 degree, measured it with the thermometer. It was 0 degrees. I left it in there for like a week and fired it up on the Jetboil Mighty Mo stove, and it actually lit and it stayed a good flame, which I need to do another video on that and maybe put it in like an ice bath just to keep it cool, because as soon as you light the flame, all that heat from the stove will actually come down into the canister and starts warming up the gas anyway. And you've probably seen some backpackers may have done this, where they'll take a piece of copper and they'll wrap it around the stove and then they'll bring it down and wrap it around the canister. And that's just a way for them to kind of get some heat around that canister to warm up that gas. Another thing you can do is put it in your sleeping bag and sleep with it, or wrap it up in your jacket, so that way you're not you're keeping the fuel at the optimal temperature. I can get rid of that question now. Let's see. I do want to say thank you, everybody, for getting on here, because I totally expected to only have like 10 or 15 people. I did not expect to have 50 people on this live stream. So I really appreciate everybody showing up and asking all the questions and hanging out with me. This is pretty cool. Oh, yeah, coffee. So we were talking about coffee too with that. That is completely up to you. That is personal preference. So I'll do kind of a quick spiel on coffee. If you're doing a lot of camp to ride trips, or you're just wanting to get up in the morning, get a cup of coffee and go, some kind of small stove and kit is probably your best bet. Titanium or whatever you want to go with. It's just optimally the smallest. Most people just enjoy the instant coffee because it's quick and easy. You don't have a lot of cleanup to deal with. You don't have extra pots and pans to deal with. For me, the next step up over that would be pour over coffee, just because we've got that's the UST Flex coffee drip. That's a little collapsible thing. You put a filter in it, you pour your coffee in there, you boil your water, you do a quick pour over, and then it's quick and easy to clean up because you just pick up that filter and throw it away. And then I usually just wipe out the drip part and then stash it and go. A lot easier to clean up. You don't have to worry about, with like a French press, pushing it all the way to the bottom. Now, for me, another reason I don't like French press, not only because of cleanup, but because the screens on the French presses are kind of coarse. And so you get a little bit of silt in the bottom of your coffee, and it mixes with the rest of the coffee. So it it's kind of chewy, is how I put it. And so I just don't like that kind of texture in my coffee. So that's why I like the pour over better. But you could go for like the coffee in a tea bag, which is real coffee. So you get a little bit more elevated coffee game because it's real coffee without the instant. One tip I learned about instant coffee is if you dissolve it with cold water first, that will help it not be so bitter. So use some cold water, dissolve the coffee crystals, and then just pour over. Doesn't have to be boiling, just whatever hot water temperature you want. And that'll help the instant coffee not taste as bad. Yes, remote canister stoves. I know that the MSR, it's the universal whisper light that we've got. That one is one that you can flip it because it's a liquid stove, so you can flip it upside down. And I guess technically you could do that on the Primus one. You could flip it upside down and then use the liquid part and then it's got a preheat tube that goes over the burner. And so as it goes through there, it heats up the liquid, it turns into a vapor, and then comes back out for more optimal burn. You had 2 lighters fail at Chili Willy. Man, that's a terrible place to have a lighter fail because it was really cold. By the way, Steve, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. And it was great talking to you while we were there. So I don't. Well, I guess it depends on what you're doing. My backup, if I have a lighter, my backup is a ferro rod. Just because I've been able to light stoves with it instead of having to worry about like the piezo. If the piezo goes out, I can just use a ferro rod. I guess it depends on your situation. That way you don't have to worry about the fuel. You don't have to worry about the flint. I mean, unless you break the ferro rod or whatever you've got. I know some people like the magnesium ones. I've used it a little bit because we got one. I wasn't impressed. I actually like the ferro rod better. I was trying to shave off all the magnesium and do it that way, and it was not great. I mean, maybe I just got a cheap one and it didn't work that great, but yeah, I don't have any recommendations on a lighter besides like a butane torch, because that way it's at least refuelable. But then again, you've got the fuel you got to worry about and everything else. Alternatives to freeze-dried food, France or Italy? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I would assume that the overseas brands are probably going to be maybe a better quality than what we have here. So we carry and we sell Peak Refuel and Good to Go foods. Good to Go is a dehydrated, and so I really liked them. The flavor is really good. I've realized that the dehydrated foods usually have a little bit better flavor, but the texture is a little bit different than a freeze dried. Now, the Peak has done a really good job at their flavor profiles and getting them really, really tasty. But it's just a freeze dried. So, again, their texture issue is with some of the meat. Sometimes rehydrating is kind of funky. But overall, those are the two that I've had that have been the best. And that's why we sell them. There's a couple other brands. It's actually a local brand that's made down the road from us. I want to start looking into them and possibly carrying them. But I'll have to look into the other stuff. I don't know of any off the top of my head. Spare wire and arc to the battery. That's a really good idea. If you get really fancy with it, you can figure out the gauge and the current that goes through it, and you can figure out how long it's going to take before that copper melts. But that's where there's a will, there's a way. If you know what you're doing. Two canister stove system. The secondary stove heats up the primary canister for more efficient water boiling for my coffee. Yeah. Second stove heats up the primary. Yeah. That's interesting. That's a different way to do it. I've also told people to use like hot hands or something. I mean, technically you could wrap your canister up in, a hot blanket or, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could put some kind of heat on it to get it to get pressurized and be a better burn. Yeah, that was the only downside I saw to the Sea to Summit. They've got their newer style cone filter for the pour over. And any of those mesh metal screens, I've never enjoyed cleaning. And so I always just add paper to it just because it's so much easier because you can just pick the paper filter out and just throw it away. And especially when you're out in the woods, I mean, the last thing you want to have to do is figure out how to clean up something and use up all your water to wash it out. Kind of going back to the French press. You mean you can wipe it out with a paper towel and all that, but again, it's a lot of extra cleanup, and it's just not my thing. All right. Best 3-person, biggish, lightish tent for tall people. Like the room for gear, like having a vestibule for boots and soft panniers. So um, we did start selling. Big Agnes has the copper spur and a 2 and 3-person long. So if you're a tall person and you just need the extra sleeping room, they've got a long version. I believe it's like 96 inches long, and so a little bit longer than the standard. And the height on it, I want to say it was like 50, maybe 52 inches, enough where you could sit down, and sit up inside the tent. So my question would be: are you looking for a tent that is a tent that you can actually walk into and like hunch over, or walk into standing up? Or do you just want, like I was talking about, the Big Agnes one, which is your typical backpacking tent that it's taller, it's more convenient for tall people. I'm sorry, it's longer, so it's more convenient for tall people when they lay down. Moscow Moto is a direct to consumer only brand. I would actually love to be able to carry their gear because they have great gear, but they have pretty much, they don't work with or deal with anybody as far as resale. They sell it from their website only. They don't even take it to show. I mean, they take it to shows so you can see it, but they traditionally don't sell it at any shows. They just show you what they got. You can try it on and get a size, and then you can order it from them there, and they'll ship it to you. Um, there's a couple other brands out there like that as well, but no, they direct to consumer only brand. And from what I've heard, and just talking to them, they don't plan on ever going to the retail side, which I don't blame them. It's a lot of headache and a lot of extra work, having to manage a lot of extra stores and get your product out there, and then making sure people keep it priced the right way and aren't trying to like undercut and undersell it at different prices. And so this way they can kind of control the pricing on it without people trying to undercut and undersell. Um, and also as far as quality control for back end support. So they're selling directly to you, you deal with them. It's easy for them to be able to see your order, see what you ordered, and then be able to take care of you as a customer. We absolutely do. We've got a lot of the camping gear in our store was from riders coming up to us and talking to us. Not just one. So a lot of the gear, like, I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. Um, well, I would say the Hubba Hubba tent. We did look at that one, but by the time we were looking at it to bring it in, they actually came out with the bike pack version. So we just brought the bike pack version in instead of the regular Hubba Hubba. And so, um, anytime somebody suggests something, I actually put it on a list of gear to look at for future reference. And then the more people that ask me about it, the more tallies it gets. And then either we'll get it for ourselves and try it out and test it, or I'll have one of our ambassadors or somebody who uses it, and we'll go through testing to make sure it meets our standards and what we believe it should be for our customers. Yes, I know that you're invested in Revit. It's one I've been wanting to look into. I know we've got, like I said, we've got Climb and we've got Alpine Stars, our options. I'll have to see if Revit is one of those that we have to work directly through them, or if we have to go through a distributor. But they're on my list of looking at potential brands in the future to bring in. All right. Let's say, how about we do a giveaway? Everybody want to do another giveaway? Oh yeah, Eric. Yeah, the Redvers. It is a great base camp tent, and it's actually one that I refer to people to when they're looking for a tall person, like a walk-in tent. Um, that's the first one I tell people about because it's big enough, and more moto friendly than some of the other ones. But yeah, the Big Agnes Copper Spur Long would be a more tall person friendly tent that's still in the bike packing realm. The pole segments on it are about the equivalent of the Redvers, so it's still going to be, I think it's 20, maybe 22-inch length pole segments, but it's only like 6 inches around. Versus, I know the Redvers is probably like 10 or 12 inches around. So you are going to gain, or you're going to lose a lot of weight if you go down to that style of tent and pack size. All right. So let's say we do, I got to work on my giveaway thing here. So give me a second. I'll get this set up on the giveaway. I think I got to change it up every time because it goes off of the old style. So let's do. There we go. Exclamation mark MCN to win $100 MotoCamp Nerd gift card. And while y'all are entering to win this gift card, I'm going to take a quick another bathroom break and get something to drink because my voice is getting all scratchy. All right. Amanda, you be proud. I've got my chamomile tea here. And water. Okay, let's see. Oh, my mouse is messing up here. How many we got? 27 entries. Anybody else? Last call. Exclamation mark MCN to win the $100 MotoCamp Nerd gift card. Exclamation mark MCN. I'll give you all 30 more seconds and then I'm going to draw one. It's still really hot. All right. Everybody ready? Last chance. Going. Oh man, Critter Moto. All right. You know the deal. Send me an email. Actually, for this one, all I need is your email. Just email me at cs@motocampnerd.com and I will digitally send you your gift card. Ooh, look at those fancy graphics. Corey, do you want to reveal yourself and show off and say hi to everybody? He's been in the background all evening helping flag everybody's comments. Oh, yeah, no worries.
There we go. There we go. I think it's
there you go.
But yeah, no, it was I like being in the background. It's not like when Matt usually throws me under the bus when he goes to take a break and says, okay, here you go.
Yeah, I won't throw you under the bus.
No.
Yeah. See, there he is. Yeah. He's in the background too. He's helping.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, everybody say thank you to my ADV 360 and helping us out over here. I really appreciate him helping me out. Last minute. He's familiar with the software since he helps Matt out doing his Tall Man Moto stuff.
But no, it seems like it went pretty seamlessly.
Oh yeah. Oh, we still got more to go. I mean, if you got to cut out, but it's only 10 o'clock here.
No.
We're gonna keep going. I got tons of questions to answer.
Oh, that's right, because we do have some over there in the banner section, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Do you have something to say?
I don't honestly.
No, his mic is muted. And he's just sitting here talking.
Oh no! Who's the amateur in the room now?
It was better when
first of all, like and subscribe. Secondly, buy from MotoCamp Nerd.
Thanks, Matt.
Wait, no, I'm still here. Where'd he go?
He ran away.
Oh, he dipped out, but I'm still here. Oh, well, I have to go to an official place, guys. I'm multitasking.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. He's back. Just leaves me on the spot.
Oh,
look, there's children to feature into this live.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get back to it. So we got a ton of questions. I know I still haven't even answered yet. So we're gonna get back to it. Bye, guys. All right. I think I reached out to Firebox at one point in time, and I don't remember what happened. I think it was because they required a lot of order, like a big order, or it may have been the margins. I can't remember what it was, but anytime we order something and get it in the store, especially with a lot of these smaller brands that are more direct to consumer, sometimes the margin isn't there for a retailer for us, and so we could stock it, but then sometimes even if we sell it, we actually lose money on every sale because we don't have a lot of foot traffic and we're shipping everything. And of course, over a certain volume or a certain value for shipping is free shipping. So all that kind of goes and ties in. So one of the reasons we haven't added Firebox to the store yet. But yeah, good product. I would recommend it. So, as somebody who's safety oriented, because my experience in maintenance manufacturing for the past 14 years in OSHA, I always would suggest a folding saw over a hatchet, just because the chances of you swinging a device, and if you're using your feet or using something near you to hold up a log that you're trying to split, and you swinging through and hitting yourself are a lot higher than sawing through something and causing a lot of damage. And so just a personal preference for me, I always suggest people carry a saw versus a hatchet in that sense. Or if you want the abilities of a hatchet to split like a log, get a knife and try to baton wood that way. Those would be my recommendations. A little bit safer, but that's just me. Motor Texan, best total volume for side bags for weekend camping. So general rule of thumb, what I tell people whenever they're planning for packing their sleep system and their camping gear and all that, if you've got an average size tent, sleeping bag, and pad, I say plan for at least 40 liters. That's enough to get you those 3 main essentials and then a pillow and maybe like a change of clothes and some water and snacks. Now, if you've got really small packing stuff, like if you got like a bike pack tent or a backpacking tent, a really small quilt or blanket, and a really small sleeping pad, excuse me, those 3 items alone are only going to be like 15 liters. And so you can get into something smaller, like I believe the Coyote from Giant Loop is 39 liters. And you can fit all that in there plus everything else. But yeah, and that would just be the core essentials. So, but then 40 liters could get you enough with that smaller camping setup as far as your core essentials. It would give you a lot more room for tools, spare parts or tubes, food, water, whatever kind of camping kitchen setup you want to do, and everything else. You are welcome. And yes, me and Mary, when we pack the orders, we sign every little packing slip. Just a way, because I believe, taking the time to sign it is just an appreciation to you all for supporting us. So thank you for the support. So if you come to our brick and mortar store, you'll be greeted by me or Mary, because we're the only ones there. And pretty much you get a one-on-one with me or her about how to pick camping gear and what you want to buy. And most of the time when people come in, they're, fellow riders, and we usually just talk about bikes and camping for, as long as you're not in a hurry. Sometimes we talk for 2 hours. Just about random stuff, and then just different setups and situations. So, yeah. Does that answer your question? Let me know. All right, so I'm going to pull some of these. Let me see, because I think we got a bunch of side questions I had saved. How many people we got in here? 46 people. That's pretty good. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I know we've had some people come and go, so. Yeah, yeah, probably like 2 hours. That's too funny. By the way, Dork and Amanda, Dork Ben and Amanda, I should say, if y'all are available and you want to jump on here and hang out with me, you are more than welcome to. No, no obligations whatsoever, but I can send you a link and you can hop on here and hang out. And if you don't do it this time, I'll make sure you get on here on the next live. Either way. All right, so I'm going to go down this list of questions that we've pulled from social media and stuff as well. Let's see. Rallies and events we're looking forward to. We did cover that earlier, but if you weren't here, the 3 that we've got planned so far are March Moto Madness, BMW MOA Rally out in Tennessee, and then Whale and Wayne Weekend. Those are the 3 big rallies. 2 of those we go to. Well, the MOA we try to go to as much as possible, but March Moto Madness and Whale and Wayne we've gone to a couple of years, and their Whale and Wayne Weekend is probably my favorite rally so far, besides the one that we put on. I guess I feel like I'm obligated to say that my rally and the Chili Willy that me and Duke did were probably the favorites. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this one's from Amanda. So, my personal favorites are the sleeping pad is the Boundary Deluxe because of that stretch top fabric it like makes the difference between all the other sleeping pads out there. It does pack a little bit bigger than like the Rapide or some of the other ones like the Nemo Tensor, which is a little bit smaller packing. It's more ultralight. But I feel like for me, the comfort is, yeah, if you want comfort, go for that one. Well, like we talked about earlier, it's now it's going to be called the Camp Meister for 2025, not the Boundary Deluxe. So sleeping pad, number 1. Sleeping bag. It was the Diamond Park, but then I was actually really impressed by the 3-in-1. I'm not a fan of being crowded, but the 3-in-1, for the sake of it being, and I can't say it's really my go-to because every time I go camping, I try a different sleeping bag to test gear. But so far, that one's been the most impressive because it's a Sidewinder sleeping bag. So even though it's a mummy style sleeping bag, it's actually shaped for side sleepers, and the zipper's in the middle. And so that's nice because you can open it up. And it was actually really roomy instead of being tight like a regular mummy bag. But then you also have the outer bag that attaches to the pad like a regular quilt does. And it's roomy just as much as the Diamond Park was. And so that layering system is really nice. And so far, it's kind of been my go-to as the favorite. Tent, overall, Copper Spur bike pack tent. I've tried the Nemo Hornet, or is it the Dragonfly, the bike pack version of that one. That one's okay, but there's pros and cons to each of them. And just for my personality and the size and the features, the Copper Spur has been hands down just one of those that just one step over everybody else as far as ease of setup and again, all the features, all the storage pockets. My gosh, there's so many pockets. The pockets overhead, the pockets at your feet, pockets on the corners. The only thing I don't like about the Copper Spur is the way the Rainfly is set up, because I have to get out and then you have to reach at the bottom of the fly to zip it up, to open it up, and your head will get wet with all the condensation buildup. Tent bag pad. Oh, and pillow. A pillow. Of course, you have to have a pillow. It is the Nemo Pillow. The Pillow, Camp Pillow, or the Pillow Luxury. Either one of those. The one that has the memory foam in it. Best one. Hold on. Yes, you can baton the hatchets if you want to do it that way. That would be the safe way to do it. Camp shoes. So actually, these are something from Amazon, Witten. These are barefoot shoes. They're mesh, and I've got a really wide flat foot anyway, so my foot's like a hobbit. But yeah, these pack really small. Typically, I wear Vans, and like the canvas Vans. Again, they actually don't pack as small as these do, and they're not as flexible. But those, I know a lot of people like to wear, and I did try a couple of water shoes that were like water hiking shoes. Those are nice because then you can go in and you can take a shower somewhere if you need to and wear the shoes, or if they get wet from the campground dew or whatever, wherever you're at, you don't have to worry about them getting all nasty. Those are usually my recommendations, what I lean towards telling people, just because they're multi-purpose in that sense. There you go. There's a good recommendation. And thanks for lurking. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night. You're probably already gone now, but so yeah, there's I cannot remember what it's called because I just drew a blank. There's a brand out there that does have like a stand thing that is supposed to be very packable. I met the sales rep for that company actually at Whale and Wayne weekend, who sells it. I want to say it's like the Tensa is what it's called, but it's a stand for hammocks that you put your hammock up in, and then you can tie it to one side or the other, or tie it to both sides, and it just supports a hammock out in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna look real quick and see if I can find it. I've not used them. Yeah, there you go. I've not used them, but I have seen people use them, and people do enjoy them. There you go. Yeah, there's a moto camping setup right there. So that's what it looks like. The Tensa 4 is the one I've seen. That looks a little bit more reliable, but it probably does pack a little bit bigger. Yeah, I mean, so that proves right there. Where there's a will, there's a way. Not sure how small those pack up to be as far as the poles go, but I do know that there were a couple of people moto camping with those setups at Whale and Wayne without issues. So Year-long moto camp trip ranging from hot summer to cold fall weather. Is there a do-it-all tent, bag, pad recommendations? Yes. So you've kind of heard me rave a little bit throughout the night with the 3-in-1, the Big Agnes 3-in-1, Lost Ranger. That would probably be the best sleeping bag setup because it uses that layering system. So you've got the inner bag and an outer bag. You can ditch the inner bag and just use the outer bag. That would probably be the best, and that's what I recommend to most people, especially if they're doing like a cross country trip, because you got more versatility out of it, and it still packs relatively small compared to some other sleeping bags. Tent, 3-season tent, backpacking tent, double walled, so pretty much anything we sell on the website is a good tent to use. I don't recommend a 4-season tent. Really isn't a 4-season tent. They're more of like winter camping or a winter tent, and then there's 3-season tents, just because they don't have the airflow you need. And if you're traveling all over the place, a 3-season tent double wall is going to give you the ventilation you need for condensation, whether it's cold or warm, and you're going to use your sleep system to make sure you stay warm at night and not have to worry about collecting a lot of heat in the tent. It will naturally just collect heat, and with the vent at the top, it'll be nice because you have that the airflow coming through to prevent too much condensation buildup. I want to say I read it was like a liter of it's going to be gross. A liter of saliva comes out of your mouth when you're sleeping at night, and all of that is like airborne inside of your enclosed space. So a lot of humidity buildup. So you do actually want to vent all that out as much as possible throughout the night so you don't have that collecting to the side of the tent. The pad, I typically say, R value of 4 and higher. If you're a cold sleeper, maybe get up to like an 8 or 7 if you feel like you need it. But if you're generally a warm or normal sleeper and you don't want to get cold too easily, a regular R value 4 pad, air pad, there'll be plenty, and that'll match your sleeping bag and keep you plenty warm. And then I guess the biggest thing would be the range that you plan on sleeping in. So if you are a cold sleeper, I don't typically recommend a 0-degree bag, but if you're a cold sleeper, the 0-degree 3-in-1 may be a better option if you think you're going to get into below 30 temperatures. Otherwise, I would say go with the 3-in-1 that's a 15-degree rating, because the comfort on that's going to be 25, and then you can use either or bag by itself to get you up into warmer, not summer level, but 50, 60 degrees, and be comfortable without being too hot. So we haven't got the new Campmeister in yet, so I don't really know exactly, and I haven't seen all the details and the specs on what the difference is between the old one and the new one. Every brand does it a little bit different. So the difference between insulation between a 4.5 and a 7. For example, Nemo has their extreme conditions tensor sleeping pad, and it's mainly foil, the reflective foil with a little bit of synthetic insulation in it, and it packs extremely small. But then XPED actually has their R value, it's like an 8 or like a 7.8 value down mat pad, but it's filled with down, so you won't get any kind of crinkle from the foil that you would in the tensor, but it's going to pack. It packs about 50% larger than the tensor does, because all that, it's actual physical down that's inside of it for insulation. And so, like I said, every manufacturer does it a little bit different, and they have their proprietary way of doing things for what they scientifically think is going to be better R value or better, heat resistance or insulation. I know XPET also uses synthetic insulation. And then, like I said, some brands just use foil. They don't use any synthetic insulation at all. And then some brands use both a mix of foil and synthetic. So it really depends on the brand and the actual physical pad itself on what type of insulation and what you're going to get. Hopefully that kind of answers your question about the difference in insulation. Because it is all over the place. Corey, did you sneak that one in there? Big Moto Dreams. So Amanda asked this one on Instagram. So I would love to do an Alaska cross-country trip, go up to Alaska, probably do the Arctic Circle. I've never been one to go international or want to, but over the past couple of years, I've kind of liked and seen more people doing it. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe like go down to Mexico, Baja, maybe do South America. I've always wanted to go to Japan anyway. So, maybe one day going to Japan and doing a moto trip there. We've actually had a couple of customers that came in and, or emailed and talked to us about having moto trips that they did while they were in Japan. So that sounds like it would be really cool to do. But I would say the first one on my list would probably be something in the United States and just do a cross country from here to Alaska and just try to hit everything in the middle and just enjoy what America has to offer in the US because there's so much here that's not seen. I'd like to do all that. Amanda, hopefully that answers all of your questions about my moto dreams. All right. Do we got any more? Did you flag any more comments yet? No. Yes. Oh, yeah. I will have to say Iceland. Iceland is one I've seen a few times, and I really want to do Iceland. Just I don't know why it sticks out, but yeah, Iceland would be one that just looks really cool. Oh, and you're in Japan. Did you email me? Was it you who emailed me about being in Japan? Are you stationed in Japan or something? I can't remember. All right. What else we got for questions? Start rolling through that list. Another Amanda question. Brands you're really excited to add to the store soon. We did kind of cover some of this earlier. We've kind of already started adding Climb to the store. So we're excited about that and adding more of their riding gear and just in general, riding gear. Riding gear is new for us. We've not carried riding gear. We've always been camping gear focused, but I feel like we're at a point where we can start bringing in even more. We slowly had a Giant Loop as far as luggage, and then we brought in Nelson Rig this year, and then Kriega right here at the end of the year. So we're going to add more Kriega gear coming into next year, the Climb riding gear, excuse me, potentially Alpine Stars, and Revit is one that I've had on my radar for a while. I just don't know what the logistics look like as far as getting them as a vendor or supplier, but I know definitely for this year it's going to be Climb and Kriega will probably be the two big brands that we're going to bring in that are different. And then try to, as far as camping gear goes, because of all the new PFAS regulations and changes, bringing in the new products from the brands that we already have, and then maybe refining our selection a little bit better for those. Because there's some sleeping bags and some items that don't sell as great as others. So we'll probably just get rid of some of those items and then maybe rotate in some different options. We do want to bring in some more gear from Kelty. And last year we kind of started to, but they just had limited supplies. So then this year we got some more stuff on pre-order. And that way it would be able to, we're able to get those items guaranteed. Because a lot of these brands, if you don't pre-order it, you don't have the ability to get it in your store. So and that'll be interesting this year to see how it goes. What is my beard regimen? Well, I cut it off, and so I got tired of messing with it. Typically, when it was longer, I would wash it twice a week. And then just kind of upkeep with beard conditioner and beard oil, mainly the beard oil for my skin, because I would break out underneath here if it gets too dry or too oily. And then using a special shampoo, I've kind of played back and forth with that. My beard is really coarse. Like, I don't know if you can kind of tell from the video or not, but it's really coarse. And I've used a ton of different brands and conditioners to kind of soften it. One brand I used was, I think it was Live Bearded, Hive Beard, whatever it is. They had like a CBD nightcap one, and that was the only one I've been able to put in my beard that was actually made it softer. And I could tell you put it in at night and the next morning it would be like a lot softer. I liked it, but all of it's kind of expensive, and I got kind of tired of having to deal with all of that and all the extra expenses. So I kind of cut it short, and we're just going to roll from here. And usually what it is I'm so busy, I don't have time to cut it. And so it just grows really long until I get unlazy. And then I should say lazy. I'm so busy that I don't have time to keep up with it. So, oh, Amanda, this one's for you. Sorry to call you out like that. I didn't mean to call you out like that, but Amanda or any other ladies in the chat, is there a P funnel that you have priority of choosing? Oh, this is a good one. Okay. Bill from Facebook. I think it was Bill Daughtry. I've been looking at these so-called 3-second tints on Facebook for $120, which seems reasonable, but it seems like moto tints are $300. Is there a real difference between them if you're getting a one-person tint? So this is going to be multiple questions or multiple parts. And so if you're getting a one-person tint and you don't need, I guess, all the extra space, then you really don't need a moto tent. And you could probably get away with like a smaller backpacking tent. Or talking about moto tent being Redvers or like the Lone Rider, actual physical moto tent. If you're referring to moto tents, like what we stock and we call, moto friendly, like a bike pack tent, which are $400 or $500 and upwards. The difference is going to be the quality and trying not to make a long conversation out of this, but the cheaper tents that you get typically from Amazon or that you see out there that are really cheap are usually cookie cutter designs that aren't really optimized and well thought out over years of just refinement. They're kind of just put together and made from what templates or what patterns are available. They typically don't put a lot of money or time and research into their own materials. They find some kind of nylon or polyester that's available out there. When you look at something like Nemo or Big Agnes, who create their own types of fabrics or find a fabric and refine it to their desire or what they want, it's more. It's going to cost more because really when it comes down to cost, you're looking at not just the cost of materials for the product, but also all of the overhead that goes into designing and engineering and making and testing, and then the back end support on that product. So Big Agnes and Nemo, and a lot of the bigger name brands that you know out there, these are all US based businesses. So the designers, the engineers, the quality control, the product support, all are US based. So you are paying US based salary prices that all goes into their products. And it goes into the cost of making the product, and it goes into the cost of supporting that product, not just the cost of materials. That means also that they are focusing more on quality control and the standards that go in behind them. So there's a lot of upper and lower control limits, especially if you're doing sewing, and what kind of seam allowance that's going to be there. For the tent poles, what type of materials, what type of tolerances are allowed for the pole when it's cut. If there's going to be a jagged edge, is that going to be caught? For the sleeping pads, I know that they go in and they air up every single sleeping pad. Like I said, I've got 14 years of manufacturing experience. And so seeing all the different sides of manufacturing and what goes into it, it's a lot more than just what you see up front and just a product and the price on it. So a really long answer, try to be condensed down as short as I could. And I can go into details and actually want to make a video about this and just talking about, is it really worth it? The 3-second tents that I see advertised all the time, they're like the pop-up ones. My biggest concern with them isn't necessarily the quality, but every single point on that tent, if I'm trying to remember correctly, it kind of folds in to itself and then it pops up. So these are all hinges. So every single hinge, in my mind, as a maintenance person in a manufacturing setting and kind of working with engineering, is these are all failure points. Whereas your typical tent is you've got a shock cord that runs through it. Well, if that shock cord fails, you can still put the tent poles together. If you break a tent pole from bending it to put it up, it does come with a splint, or you can put duct tape around it. On these hinges, you're going to duct tape a lot more material. And that's my biggest concern on those little pop-up tents and any of those types of pop-up tents that are like instant or 3-second tents. It's just all those hinges and all those articulating pieces and what they're made of and how many times you can do that before it fails. At a price point of $120, it's really, really hard for me to imagine that the US based time and effort and engineering went into that to make it a really reliable tent, and then plus the cost of product. But I don't know. I've not had one in my hands to really inspect it. I've not talked to anybody who makes those. I've looked at some of the designs, and some of the designs are some kind of basic ones you see on like AliExpress or Alibaba. So any of these tent templates are pre-made templates that are just made in Japan or made overseas, not Japan, I'm sorry, made in China or any of those overseas sewing companies. So sorry for the long rant on that one, but all right. Thank you, Amanda, for chiming in. The best pea funnel. Go girl. Folds up into a pocket so you can always carry it. Alternative is the Sanifem Freshette. Yes, I've heard really good things about the Kulikov cloth. Yeah, cheap tents. Seams will fail. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What are there? You got any more questions? My hat. My hat is a Scully. What is it? It's a Scally. That's it. Boston Scally. That's what it is. I have a blank. Tent or hammock, I'm a tent person. Everybody has their choices. I mean, hammocks, yeah. I can see why people like hammocks so much, but they do have, when you get into colder weather, you're packing about the same amount you are with a tent and a sleeping pad and a bag. So in the summertime, though, it do have an advantage because it's a lot less to pack than a tent and the bag and the pad. So sorry, I threw you off there, Corey. Multi-piece gear. I'm going to say, and I said it earlier, it's probably going to be the neck gaiter, just because it's the most common, it's the most multi-use item. I actually thought about this question for a while. I don't know of any other item besides like a multi-tool, or just tools, motor tools, but not necessarily any kind of camping gear related item that's multi-use that I think is more superior than the other. So, oh no. Did my camera die on me?
Looks like we overheated. We can still hear you though.
Okay. Well, let me, oh, it says my battery's exhausted, which is funny because I've got it plugged up.
Back to the comments.
All right.
Two Wheeling had a question about any other recommendations for long-term gear storage. What exactly are you trying to store there? Is it because we talked about sleeping bags? I don't know. They were thinking something more specific. Hey, there we go. Oh,
no, maybe not.
Are you on the laptop?
I don't know what happened to it. Okay. Well, yeah, long-term storage. While we're troubleshooting this, I can try to help answer some more questions.
Yeah, so he was talking about pads, tents, and the like.
As far as like keeping them in like at the house and stuff. So for all of that gear, technically the best solution is not to keep it in a storage sack, but being able to keep it, in your closet, either hanging it up or putting it on the shelf. That way it's not just compressed all time through the winter.
Right.
All right.
There we go.
There we go.
Now we're on the laptop camera.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you get to look up my nose now. I don't know what happened to my camera because it is on, but my Sony camera does not want to be cooperative at the moment because it thinks it's not. Okay, whatever. I guess we're going to rock this angle for the last little bit. All right, up in the coffee game. So, saw some espresso thing. I got your jet boil. Yeah, we touched on this a little bit earlier too. Coffee, my go-to is pour over. So, you're gonna have multiple pieces this way because you got to have a stove. You're gonna have to have a pot. You have your cup. Putting a cone filter on top, you can pour your hot water over into your mug. It's a lot easier and cleaner because you can just pick up the coffee filter and just drop it in the trash, and it's not so robust or not so messy as far as cleaning. Now, JetBoil does have the French press option where it's a built-in French press. It is kind of messy to clean. It's not as easy to clean up because you got to scrape out all the grounds when you press it to the bottom. It does leave a little bit of a silt in the coffee instead of being really clean and crisp. That is more of a personal preference than anything. The espresso thing, that is definitely something if you're going to be really fancy and you want to have some real fancy kind of espresso. Oh, I get this angled right. You can, it's the Wakako brand. They've got their little mini espresso makers. Now you can get that they've got the little pods that are pre-dosed to the right amount of coffee you need. And then you just add your hot water to it and do it that way. It's a lot of extra parts. It's a lot of extra cleaning you have to do after the fact. And you can, by all means, and people do it all the time, you can have a really fancy cup of coffee out in the woods with this unit. It's just going to be a little bit more work and more effort going into it than some people want to put in. So again, personal preference. How much work do you want to put into it for a cup of coffee? And how good of a cup of coffee do you want? Yeah, so I've got an A7 III, and actually it says my battery was exhausted. It was plugged up to power and the computer, and the battery was exhausted. So I'm assuming this battery's dead because I plugged in my other battery and it works now and the camera's on, but it's not going to connect to the software now, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, see, it's still not connecting to it. I'm not sure. Not sure what's going on with that. It's kind of a bummer. Okay. That is my younger brother, my little brother. Man, we ran through all the questions from the socials already. Cool. Good deal. All right. Well, since the camera decided to go out on me, and I think we've exhausted all the questions, unless somebody else has more questions, I'll say this was a successful night at 2 hours and 40 minutes into the live, and we still got 26 people hanging out, and I think we had 50 people up until about 30 minutes ago. So Um, based on last year's performance, it will most likely be either late 2025 or probably into 2026 before I will be able to quit my other job and do this as a full-time gig. But it depends. We'll just see how this year's sales go. We forecasted it. Last year, I forecasted pretty aggressive. The first half of the year went really well. The last half of the year did not go as I had forecasted. So we got a little bit behind on where we were going to be and what I thought we were going to be selling. So we did get left with a good amount of inventory. So that's just kind of, the way business is and figuring things out and making it work. All right. Well, everybody, I appreciate you hanging out. Thanks for joining me. I'm glad I was able to answer a bunch of questions. Please, if you have any more comments, questions, leave them in the comments section. If you want me to do another live stream like this, what do you think? Should we do this as a monthly thing, as a weekly thing? How frequently? Do you have questions and do you want to hang out? So let me know. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Do you have any final comments?
Oh, hey, that's a good job. Way to drop me in the way that I do to him. No, I think it was a great live, and I think you should do a monthly. I've got thoughts we'll talk about after, but thanks everybody who's still watching and supported MotoCamp Nerd. It's an invaluable resource, and I think we're all very appreciative that you've put all this hard work in, right? You're doing not only this, but a full-time job, and it's just you and Mary. So we greatly appreciate you. The community says thank you at large.
Well, thanks, dude. Yeah, I appreciate
man.
it. Well, and thanks for turning me on to this StreamYard, because this makes things way easier.
Yes, StreamYard's the best, man.
It
I love
is.
it.
Yeah,
it works
tough. Really well.
Buy Darn Tough, buy Beak, Refuel. They're the best.
Nice motorcycle.
Well, thank you. Oh, look at that beautiful Husky. Oh, whatever.
Yeah,
it's just a 501. It's just the best motorcycle on the market, despite their current financial woes. But I've got one, so it's fine.
But it's Husky, right? Right. It's not exactly.
Oh, I love it. It does everything I'm incapable of doing.
More power than you would ever need.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
What about old Mighty V360? Where's he at? He got final thoughts? He's always got final thoughts.
There he is.
Always got.
There he is.
Thoughts. No, I think it went great. I think you guys, you had a lot of great questions there.
Yeah. I like that. I stole some of those ideas from Amanda in her live streams, because I see she always asks ahead of time for people to drop questions. So it's like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to get some questions, so that way I'm not just sitting here bambling to myself about things. So
yeah, that's smart. That's forward thinking. I don't do that with my life. So good on both of you.
I don't get to see that part on.
Maybe at the 4-year mark, I'll get it together.
Yeah, but you've got this voice for like radio that's like really good and just like soothing, and
Oh, MotoCamp Nerd. I don't know what you're talking about.
Awesome. Well,
that's why I had you do voiceovers for my video, because your voice
I got you.
Like perfect.
I'm here for it.
All right. Well, thanks for the help, everybody, and thanks for joining. And yeah, have a good night. I don't know how to turn this off.
I'll hit it. It's the end stream button up in the top right.
Corey's got it. He's on it.
Did you just do a countdown, or do you just say bye?
You just say bye. You wait.
Bye. Oh, look, see, you can do that.
Oh,
bye.
there you go.
My lungs are only so big.